What's up, YouTube? I'm Joshy, and I built this 5x tiny home earlier this year with zero experience. And today I want to share with you my personal experience of the top 5 most difficult or hardest parts about building this tiny home with zero experience. But first, I want to give you a quick little look at my 5x tiny home. You can see we got an awning here, we got a window there, we got a window here, and it's built on an interstate trailer. We got a unique mirror my wife picked out, stepping on the inside. We got the 43-inch flat screen TV, and this is the living space here, L-shaped couch with a giant swivel table that drops down, makes about a queen size bed. Coming around to the back now, we have outdoor cooking area, we have composting toilet in here. This seat doubles as, getting ready in the morning or doing dishes. We got a black stainless steel sink, my battery powered water faucet, along with my battery powered mirror here. And underneath here we have 7 gallons of fresh water, whatever that is, of gray water, all the cooking stuff here and other supplies. We do have shore power hookup, but I never use it because underneath the seats over there I have 200 amp hour batteries, fully off grid capable. Under here we do have the 12-volt fridge and some other cooking supplies there. Here we have some bedding supplies and camping stuff. And yeah, so I built this little guy in about 3 weeks earlier this year with zero experience. And oh, we got a spare tire here, and we got a diesel heater fuel tank, and a quick little peek at the off-grid system because it looks super messy, but you guys are curious. Can't forget the DIY skylight and the rooftop fan. So I built this 5x8 tiny home with zero experience. And what I mean by that is I didn't know how to cut plywood. I knew nothing about installation. I never installed a sink. The most I ever built was IKEA furniture before. I have zero experience with the tools. I mean, I did have experience with a drill gun, but I think most people do. But as far as like a table saw, circular saw, jigsaw, a Dremel, and whatever else I used to make this, I had zero experience whatsoever. And all the tools were borrowed from my uncle's garage, so I didn't have much of anything. And nobody assisted me with the build. No one came over and held my hand, gave me guidance or anything like that. My wife did help me a little bit, but she has zero experience also. Well, I do have a little bit of experience with designing things like this because me and my wife did have a glamping business overseas the last 5 years. So as far as like the overall look and things, I did have a little bit of experience doing that. But yeah, building it, putting it together, also using a nail gun, zero experience whatsoever. So this build took me about 3 weeks to do, but I was doing that nonstop all day, every day. And the location that I built it at was near Home Depot, about 10 minutes away. So I was able to do all my Home Depot runs real quick. And this list is not in any particular order. It's just in the order that I'm thinking of it in my head. And that brings me to number 1. Most difficult part about doing this build is overthinking. It was really hard for me to overcome my fears or anxiety of not being able to do it. What if I make a mistake? How am I going to fix the mistake that I made? Am I going to like the build? Is this how you're supposed to do it? Is this how everyone else is doing it? That overthinking all those thoughts in my head was so difficult to overcome. And if I just jumped in and just built it and just did it, even with making mistakes, it still would have turned out okay. And if I had that problem, I think a lot of others might also. I think when we're thinking about making our own camper, trailer, van, or whatever, we kind of want to become like expert builders, which we're not. It's a DIY build, okay? There's definitely imperfections, but I think it looks pretty cool. And I like that it's unique and kind of personal to me, and I made it with my own 2 hands. But yeah, so overthinking, trying to do everything super perfect, that is one of the hardest things to overcome and the hardest things to do in general. Because you spend so much time thinking about what's the best installation, what wood should I use, how should I attach it, what fastener should I use, and then you start to go into the Facebook forums, dive deep, ask questions, and everyone has a different answer. No, this sucks. No, that sucks. Use this. No, don't use that. Use this. Whatever. Just go to Home Depot and get some insulation and whatever. Just put it together. It's gonna be fine. Trust me. This does not need to survive Armageddon. And step on inside here. And moving on to number 2 of difficult parts about doing this build. And that was anything to do with the ceiling. I think that might have been by far one of the most difficult parts of doing the build. Because trying to hold things up and screw things in, your arms get tired real fast. And also my trailer has a curve, so that was a little bit difficult. And it was also difficult to figure out what materials to use and whatnot. What I did wind up going with was a piece of plywood, but a super thin one that is used for like the backing of cabinets or something like that. It was super fragile, and I had to make many repairs because when I was throwing in the self-tap metal screws into the studs, it was actually getting misaligned and breaking the wood. So there's a lot of patches in the wood that you can't see because I fixed them. But yeah, the ceiling was one of the hardest parts of the whole build, and there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into the ceiling. Now, since my ceiling is curved and it curves down here and meets, a straight wall. This part was also really difficult, but I used the corrugated plastic from Home Depot, and I kind of wish that I did that for the whole ceiling because it was easier to work with and it's more flexible and stuff. But yeah, so that's what you see right here, and it was just kind of easy to bend and mold into shape. So I'm a big fan of this corrugated plastic stuff. That's like the stuff that you would get to make yard signs or whatnot out of. And the third thing on the list is cutting plywood. Now, there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to cut plywood and whatnot. All I had to cut plywood with was a circular saw and some vices, and I don't don't recommend doing it. I recommend getting the circular saw and using the expensive guides for it. I didn't have those tools. I didn't want to spend the money for it, so I just didn't have it. But trying to cut plywood super straight and make it look nice and everything, to me, was really difficult. I don't know why I thought that plywood was going to be cheap. It's not cheap at all. In this build, I do have one expensive piece of plywood, and it is my birch plywood. You can see here, this partition, this table, the sink here, and the lid to my composting toilet is all from one piece of birch plywood. I had first cut my cheaper plywood here for the seats. The birch plywood was almost $100. I think it was 90 something, and I was too scared to make a mistake, so I let Home Depot cut it, which I also think is a little bit of a mistake, because Home Depot will cut it for you if you give the measurements, but I think their blades are pretty dull. They do it super fast, and there are going to be nicks and cuts in your plywood. If I had to do it all over again, I'd probably take that piece of birch plywood home and cut it myself, because my table on all sides has a bunch of nicks and stuff. That's from Home Depot cutting it. But if your plywood's going to be kind of hidden or not seen, you know, part of the build, then definitely have Home Depot cut it, because it doesn't matter if the edges are a little bit frayed or whatever you call it. And plywood in general is just difficult to maneuver around by myself and difficult to prop up, and I just didn't really have the right tools, which I think a lot of people probably don't if they're doing a DIY build. It was super difficult to work with, difficult to cut, and yeah, I'm not looking forward to my next build of cutting plywood again. And that brings me to number 4, which is my plumbing. And that might not be too difficult for you all, but for me, I struggled with it. Now with my build, I just went with the 7-gallon container that my uncle had in his garage. It was kind of like the emergency water containers, and I went with the Amazon battery powered faucet, which I do like. You know, it works well, it doesn't need to be charged that often, and it looks kind of nice. But the problem that I have with it is that I still haven't figured out how to do the connections properly. Anytime I move, if I don't seal it up all the way, water will splash out and get everywhere, which is not a big deal to seal everything up if you're going to camp and staying for a couple nights, whatnot. But if you're just kind of like, you know, stopping at a parking lot or stopping at a rest stop and you jump into the trailer and you want to wash your hands or something, it's a lot of steps just to get that water going. And also sometimes I forget and that makes a big mess for me to clean up later. But I just think it was difficult because it was trying to make containers that are not meant for this to work in this situation, and there's like a million different hose parts and connectors and whatnot, and it's just, I don't know, it's just way over my head, and I think I just got used to living like this, and yeah, it's on the list of things to do. And the 5th thing on my list is making everything straight, making everything the correct measurement. And when you start to work with wood, especially the cheaper wood at Home Depot, you quickly realize that no two pieces of wood are identical. They all have imperfections, they all have bends, they're not straight to begin with. And I only have, you know, these storage containers that I'm sitting on here, and I did a skeleton build with it using like 1x3 or something like that. I would measure one piece, take that piece, and I would need an identical piece measured the same, measure that, cut that, and they wouldn't be the same. Have to cut it again, cut it again, cut it again. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm just not good at measuring and cutting the first time, but that was really difficult for me. I know they say measure twice, cut once, whatever, but yeah, I measured 5 times and cut 10 times. So, but you know, that wood that I got was the common wood boards at Home Depot, and it wasn't too expensive, and it was my first time doing it, so I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned a lot. And also, I don't think that I had the right saw for the table saw. I just borrowed it, and I didn't even change it. I just rolled with whatever was in there, because I was already spending a lot of money on the build, and I really didn't want to buy tools or other things like that. But all that comes back to our number 1 hardest part about the build, and it's just, you know, overthinking it and trying to make it too perfect. If I'm going to give any advice to anyone that's about to embark on this journey of building something like this, is that just don't take it too seriously. And that's kind of why I'm glad at, you know, getting a smaller trailer to begin with. If I bought a, you know, $40,000 van, I probably would be feeling really bad about some of the decisions that I made. My trailer was a lot cheaper than a van, and I wasn't that scared to make mistakes on it. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be a DIY build. There are going to be imperfections, but you know what? These kind of things are so great to have. The lifestyle's fun, whether it's for you weekend warriors or for people that just want to start doing more road trips. I saved so much money on hotel fees and things like that having this, and I just kind of wish that I did this sooner. So yeah, those are my top 5 most difficult parts about doing this build as a beginner with zero experience, and that's my personal experience. For you all, it might be a little bit different, but don't let any of those things turn you off from doing a build like this, because even though I made a ton of mistakes and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this build, I don't regret it at all. I learned so much about cutting things, building things, that I never would have learned if I didn't try to do this. And all those skills that I learned are pretty useful if I ever get a chance to own a home. So yeah, have fun with it. Don't be stressed about it. Don't get too caught up on what's the best way to do it, because while there probably are a lot better ways to insulate my trailer, do the cutting, do the wood, do all that, none of that really matters when you're out here and you're enjoying the trailer. Whatever X percentage of more insulation or whatever power or percentage more or lightweight. None of that matters when you're actually out here enjoying it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Just done beats perfect anytime. And when I was building these things and I was getting mad at myself and getting stressed out because I was seeing all the imperfections, I really stressed about that and I really worried about it, that it was going to bother me later on. 8 months later, I can tell you now that I look at this trailer and I don't even see those imperfections anymore. The things that I do see is just things that are getting dirty, getting run down, scratches or something like that. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Take it with a grain of salt. You know, a one-eyed man is king of the blind. Whatever you want to say about it. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this content, please support me by giving me a big thumbs up. I'm a new channel, so all that engagement really helps with pushing my videos out there more. And I have a ton of YouTube shorts already posted, so go ahead and feel free to check all those out. And if you have any other ideas of what I should film or what you want to see, please let me know in the comment section. Because I am a new channel and I'm trying to get a lot of content out there, so we're posting pretty much daily now. Other than that, if you got any other tips or tricks about doing a build like this, leave that in the comment section below also. Because I'm pretty sure there'll be other viewers interested in different opinions and things like that. But yeah, I guess that's it for this one. We'll see you in the next one.